visually impaired or blind. That's because they weren't in the community, they weren't in my schools. At that time, children with visual impairments were educated in residential schools. And so they were virtually invisible in the community. Like, if you had asked me if someone who is visually impaired or blind could swim or run a mile, I would have said no. I mean, 35 years ago, how many of you would have thought someone who was visually impaired or blind could run a mile? Anybody? I didn't. And that all changed, though. When I went to college, I had two professors who ran the VIP program. And that was the visually impaired person program. And it was a recreation program for adults who were visually impaired. And through that program, it ran every semester, and I went every single year that I went to school there. And I met adults who were competent and independent, athletic, and really funny. And so from that program, I heard about Ski for Light, which is a recreation program for adults who are visually impaired in the Poconos in Pennsylvania. And they heard about me from the VIP program. And so they asked me if I wanted to volunteer for that cross-country ski program, and I immediately said yes. The fact that I didn't have a pair of cross-country skis and I didn't know how to ski didn't really matter to me. And so at the Ski for Light program, they taught us in an orientation about visual impairment, about how to guide someone who's blind. They taught us the cues that we needed. And then they taught us how to cross-country ski under blindfolds. And then I met Susan. Now Susan was 48 years old and she was blind, and she had done that program the year before, except she hadn't cross-country skied in a whole year, and so she was really nervous. And so I got her out on the course, and we were cross-country skiing, and we were gliding, and our arms were moving. And I thought we were doing pretty well until we got to the top of the hills, and she just tensed up. And so, we had to sidestep down the hills every time we got to a hill. And I thought, it was a little slow going there, and it made me a little frustrated because we were moving so slowly. Because I didn't think the hills were that big, but then again, I could see the hills, and she couldn't see the hills. So the next day, we went out on the cross-country course, and we did an entire loop of this hilly loop. And we did it twice, and it was 2.5 miles. And it was the farthest Susan had ever skied. And frankly, it was the farthest I'd ever skied at that time, too. But she looked up to me, and she said, "Lauren, I never could have done that without you." And I was 21 years old. And I'll never forget that moment. That sense of validation, that sense of accomplishment. Up until then, I had taught people, and I had never felt that feeling before. I mean, it was literally like a drug. I had to do it again. And I remember thinking right then and there, I am going to figure out a way to do this for the rest of my life. Luckily, after I went to graduate school and got my master's degree, I got a job at the Perkins School for the Blind in Boston, Massachusetts. And so I taught in the deaf-blind program, and I taught adapted physical education. And so you might have heard of Perkins School for the Blind because that's the school where Helen Keller was educated. Anybody? I did not teach Helen Keller, but I did teach Eddie. Now Eddie was deaf-blind, and he could see some lights and darks, and he could see some shapes. And the way he communicated was I signed and he felt my hands, my sign language, and then he would just sign back to me. And Eddie was on the community rowing team, and he was on my cross-country running team and the track and field team. He was on swimming, and he was a good athlete. And so that first year at Perkins, so I'm a teacher, go with the flow, we had a parade, Halloween parade. And so I dressed up in my clown outfit, and I was riding my unicycle. It's me, my clown outfit on my unicycle. And so I was going around campus, and if the kids were blind, I would let them feel my clown outfit. I let them feel my unicycle. And so I got to Eddie, and Eddie's feeling my unicycle and my clown outfit. And he says, "Lauren, you have to teach me how to ride the unicycle. I want to learn how to ride the unicycle." And I'm skeptical. I mean, I've been riding my unicycle since I was 10. And I know even for hearing and sighted people, riding a unicycle isn't easy. I mean, how many of you can ride a unicycle? Anybody? Nobody can ride a unicycle. So I'm thinking, okay, here's a student, he's deaf and blind. And he kept saying, when are you going to teach me? Lauren, please, when are you going to teach me? And he persisted and persisted, so we made a plan. I said, all right, what we're going to do is we're going to meet at the track. And at Perkins, they have a guide wire along the whole side for kids who are blind so they can run straight. So he held onto the guide wire with one hand, and he held on to me with his other hand. And what he did was he's riding up and back. He's riding up and back. So we met every week, and we went a little bit each time. And he got better and better, and then it got cold out. So we went inside into the gym, and in our gym we had a big ladder along the whole entire wall, the whole gym. So Eddie was holding onto the wall, and he'd let go for a second, and he could hold on, let go for a second. And he started getting better and better, letting go, and then he was able to push himself off the wall and ride into the gym. I was getting pretty excited, like this might really happen. So then it got warm outside, and we went back out to the track, and he could see the thick lines on the track. And I'll show you what Eddie can do now. Those are the guide wires behind him. In 6 months, I taught one of my students who's deaf and blind how to ride a unicycle. But Eddie's will and his determination and his perseverance really taught me to believe. Eddie made me believe in what kids who are visually impaired or deafblind can do. So I got the bug. I wanted to teach other people how to teach kids with sensory impairments. So I went back to school for my doctorate. I got my doctorate, and I went to the college at Brockport in Brockport, New York, SUNY Brockport. That's where I am now. And we had a great adapted physical education program with a wonderful curriculum. But when I first arrived there, I realized that we had one problem. Because after teaching at Perkins, I know that kids with visual impairments can do sports. But I also know that the people who teach them need to learn from experience, not a textbook. You can't learn how to teach kids with visual impairments or deafblindness from a textbook. There are 61,000 children with visual impairments in our schools today. And what I wanted to do is help make them visible. And so my solution was Camp Abilities. So Camp Abilities is a 1-week educational sports camp for children who are blind, visually impaired, or deafblind. And so what we do is we pair up a counselor, who's usually a college student, with a camper who's visually impaired. And the counselor teaches the camper motor skills, they teach them different sports, and they teach them modifications that they need for their type of visual impairment. And at camp, the other thing that we do is we assess all the kids, and so they learn how to push themselves so that they're not just participating, but they learn how to achieve. Because so many people look down at kids with visual impairments and they think they can't achieve. And then the last thing we do is we teach about advocacy. We teach them how to advocate for themselves so they're included in physical education, and so they're included in their after-school sports teams and they can join sports teams. And so a wonderful story here is Christopher, one of our campers, just this semester, was getting a pushback from his athletic director and the coach of his cross-country team because they were afraid he was going to get hurt. Well, he advocated for himself, and he joined his cross-country team, and in the first meet, He came in 3rd place out of 66 other kids. He showed them, right? So, in 22 years now, we have 20 campabilities around the country, and we have 8 campabilities all around the world, and it's still growing. And so let me just tell you the story about Peter. So Peter is one of our campers from our Alaska camp. He's Native Alaskan, he's 15 years old here, he's blind, and he had done campabilities 6 times at this point. And Peter, because of his advocacy and what he learned at camp, he joined his wrestling team at his high school. And he got so good that he was on the news all over Alaska. Many people sent me that link. It was a source of pride for me. And so at camp that year that I went to visit the Campabilities Alaska, just like any last day of camp, it's bittersweet. Everybody's really sad it's the last day. And so the parents were coming, and after the award ceremony, they're taking their kids home. Everybody's hugging, the kids are crying. They're exchanging phone numbers. And Peter's parents hadn't come yet. It was 1 o'clock pickup. So, okay, so we're cleaning up. He's helping me clean up. We had a lot to clean up. It takes hours. So we're cleaning up. He's helping. His parents still hadn't come. And he says to me, Lauren, when is camp next year? And I told him the dates for camp the next year, and he was kind of quiet. We're still cleaning up. It's 3:30. And I said, hey, Peter, when are your parents coming? And he said, oh, they're not really coming until 5. I told them to come at 5. Well, pickup time is at 1. I said, why aren't they coming till 5? He said, Lauren, I just don't want it to end. And he came over to me and he put his hands on my shoulders and he said, Lauren, thank you so much for starting Campabilities. I love everything about it. I love the sports. I love the music. I love my friends. I feel like I fit in here. And he said, Lauren, only 360 days till we can come back. Camp meant a lot to Peter. And so let me tell you about Martha. So Martha is from Allegheny, New York, little town, and she came to camp first when she was 13. And just like any other kid, she made friends, she did all the sports, and she learned advocacy, and she had a great time. So she went back to her school, and then her freshman year in high school, she joined her high school swim team. And she did pretty well with her sighted peers on her swim team. And the next year when she came back to camp, she's very athletic again, she's doing all the sports. But our swim director noticed Martha was extremely fast at swimming. And so we recorded her times. And when we looked up her times against the same kids, her age, gender, and her level of visual impairment, right then, she would have come in 8th in the world, right then. So when her parents came to pick her up, we were telling her parents all about the Paralympics and about the United States Association for Blind Athletes, and how cool would it be if she could swim against other girls with the same level of visual impairment? What would that be like? And so that next year at Campabilities, Martha wasn't there. She was out competing on the junior circuits and winning. And her senior year, she was recruited to get a scholarship to go to college for swimming. But from college, she was recruited from the U.S. Paralympic swim team to train in Colorado Springs for 2 years. This past Paralympics in Rio, Martha came in 8th in the world, representing the United States. And now she's training for Tokyo. So camp truly made a difference for Martha. I could go on and on about all these athletes. I could tell you story after story, but I want to share, this is Maddie. She's one of our athletes. And after her 4th year of camp, her parents wrote me a letter. And this is what a part of the letter said. She is strong, independent, outgoing, and mature. She believes in herself. She believes she does not have a disability. She has a different ability. And I'd like to close with a message from Eddie. About you riding the unicycle. I, Eddie Martinez, I want all people in the town and all around here to know about deafblind people can do normal things, same as hearing people. And it doesn't mean they're stupid, no. Deafblind people can do many, many things, but sometimes it just takes them a little bit longer and a little bit slower. But they're fine, and they can do the same things that normal people can do. Do you have any more to say to people? I just want to say that Eddie did work really hard to learn how to ride the unicycle, and I'm really proud of him. And I know that there are other kids that can do the same thing. We just need to give them the opportunity. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.